Islam. So often, um, so-called black, but I don't subscribe to that. But so-called black men, we often uh, get disrespected for our intellect, especially when you are in the workforce or in commerce and you're dealing with the traditional European who historically is known to want to be in control and have power over people and demonstrate that they have power. When you enter those circles, especially in an intellectual way, um, often they will try to bend the rules. They will try to do the wizardry on you. You're looking at a math problem, and it is 2 plus 2, and it equals 4. Uh, but some kind of way they want to say the plus is a minus, right? So it actually equals 0. And so, you have these discrepancies. And so one thing for me in learning and seeking Allah and guidance about is how to emotionally, right, not allow that historic behavior to beat me down, to defeat me, to make you lose fight, make you lose hope, right? Where we get to a place where it doesn't even emotionally doesn't even affect you or me, affect me. And so one thing I was in my prayer time, I was contemplating about that, and these are just some words that, or some thoughts and things that came um, through my prayer. Right? Everyone wants to be respected. Why? Power. Why? We want control. Thinking if I have respect, I have power. If I have power, I can control you. If I can control you, I have control over my life living. And so this line of respect is, for me, centered around my ability to be able to live out my life the way God has purposed me to live it, or, the pursuit of happiness, as we would say in the U.S., right? So, in some associated way, a misscrewed way, miseducated way, should I say, I am associating respect with my ability to live out my life, right? Which is a misnomer. But I'm going to continue. This type of control is an illusion. You have complete control over your self identity, right? So, what I begin to see, and the Spirit of the Lord begin to teach me, is that no one can have control over how you view yourself, how you know who you are, knowledge of self. And the person on the outside who is doing the disrespect, right? They are attacking the physical. They are attacking this physical illusion. Man is not the body nor the soul, but a spirit. So they are speaking in terms of this reality. Everything that we see, everything that we're dealing with was formed by thought, was formed by mind, right? It did not exist without mind, without spirit first. Spirit man, spirit being, mind, thought, and then creation came about, right? So the same aspect with us as a person, as an individual, as a who you are. Another man's opinion, another man's ideal of who you are and your your abilities and skills, or the way you think, or the way you come about answering a problem, right? If they disrespect that, that has nothing to do with who you know who you are, and nothing to do with allowing remaining to, how should I say, keep control, that you have control over how you see yourself, and what they're seeing is an illusion. We're not trying to deal with illusions. We're walking in the spirit, right? Hopefully that made sense. I'm gonna keep reading. At any point in time, you can control what and how you think of yourself. Another man's disrespect is his illusion. The body is an illusion of the spirit of man. You may have power over the body, but you don't have power over the mind and spirit. I have that power. I have that control. I have that respect. Then I go on. Ego wants control over people. The ego. The spirit wants control over self, over the self, over the ego, over self-preservation, right? And so one scripture, well, a couple of, but I'm probably just say one for the sake of time, that came to mind. It comes out of the Moorish American Holy Quran, chapter 15, where Jesus, the Bible speaks about this too, where Jesus, goes into the wilderness for 40 days, where he fasts for 40 days. And let's see, I'm going to read, okay, hold up, before I read this verse, where he goes into the wilderness for 40 days and he realizing that, you know what, my lower self, I'm bound to a lot of carnal things, right? I don't know if I can fulfill this mission of being a sacrifice for men. And what is that sacrifice? That sacrifice is the fight to tell the truth, to speak power, the truth to the government and to the powers that be in his day, right? How they fall off and fell off from the will of God as a nation. Israel started with a theocracy, meaning God was the head of the government. When you see thou Lord, the Lord, meaning like king, the ruler, they equated that with God, that God was the head of the government, not just the head of life in general, but their actual civic life, that God was the head of that. So that Jesus was contemplating Yeshua, if we really want to say it, but we know Jesus is the Greek form. But for the sake of conversation, Jesus was contemplating about, did he have the ability to put up with that sacrifice, just like many of our brothers and sisters? Do we have the will to put up with this system over here, where it continually to badger and beats down especially Asiatics, who have intellect to challenge the system and hold the system accountable to do the right thing, right? So often our system is in the hands of people who try to get around from doing the right thing, or they try to do it in a way where they still keep the upper hand and maybe give you some, but they still keep the upper hand. But when you actually walk it out and let the laws balance themselves out, you also can find ways where you can have an even hand. But instead of giving a fair, a just reward, they want to matriculate and be wizardry and do all this crazy math to give you less than what you actually deserve. So with that being said, Jesus, I'm going to read this 15:5 verse here. It says, "When I shall stand before the face of men, and they demand a proof of my messiahship, what shall I say?" Meaning, when I stand before these people and tell them and execute these laws and policies, and they disrespect my authority or what I'm saying, what shall I say? What shall I do? I noticed that after that, right, there's just a line of questions where it appears like Satan is telling him, if you be the Son of God, do this. If you this, that. But that is actually a conflict going on between him and his lower self. But to the question of what should I say, there was never an answer provided. There was never an answer given, because what? You really don't have to answer when you're speaking truth. When you're speaking authoritative divine law, which is the highest principles of all laws, and falls in lines with all righteousness laws, you don't have to answer to them. You don't have to, and ultimately coming all the way back, you don't have to answer to the disrespect. You don't have to get emotionally tied or emotionally needy, that you feel like you need their respect and that you need their recognition, because you already got the greatest one, and that is the Most High being with you, in you. And you are moving in a way where you're just moving and walking in the Spirit. So as we run into these folks that want to disrespect you and want not to give you respect, let's try to get comfortable with that, meaning comfortable with understanding that that's just part of the process, right? And we're not going to allow them to dictate or make us doubt who we are. We have nothing that we have to prove to them that we are intelligent, that we are competent, that we are comprehensive, that we do have great ideas, that we do have means of making a living, a great living. So with that, I'm going to end it. Peace and love. This is S. Marshall Will, Talk Bills. See y'all in the wind.